Annie, Parsa, and I can start an office together and start to kind of multiply it, let's say 5 to 10 different offices as a partnership. How is that different from what we call DSO or dental service organization? So basically, what is a DSO? How is that different from a group practice?
Largest call center in all of dentistry. It handles over 20,000 calls a day. We don't pick up the phone in our call center unless the office doesn't pick up first. What portion of calls do you think that is? It's actually about 35% of the calls. Most doctors think, oh no, I answer all the phone calls or I have a service. And the truth is, it's not.
In many ways, I look at DSOs like being our front line for people who don't have a dental home. Some Dr. Kessler, the ADA, says about 50% of the United States does not have a dental home.
Ultimately, think about what you're trying to solve for. Think deeply about, are you able to commit to staying and continuing to grow your practice for a period of time? Are you interested in open to bringing on the next generation to preserve the legacy that you created?
Many years ago in the service, there used to be a thing called the Berry Plan, where the service would pay for your schooling and dental school, and then when you graduated, you gave, like 1 year for every year they paid. And that helped a lot of people get through dental school, okay?
Typically say people leave they leave the leadership. They don't typically leave for $2 an hour. Despite what they tell you. They may mask it as, well, I want a pay increase. They're really saying is, I need to be paid more to put up with you.
All right, I guess we're all ready to go. Let's go. Welcome to the Pulp podcast, where we talk about all things dentistry and non-dentistry from a generational perspective. I'm joined today with my co-hosts, Dr. Koch and Dr. Parsa Shahidi. Rowan is not with us today. So, Parsa, we've covered health, nutrition, dental myths, and a number of other topics in leadership. We're taking a different turn today and go into an area that I'm sure a lot of dentists, dental students, and endo residents are interested in, which is organization and management in a dental office and different ways to kind of have the business of dentistry. So who is our special guest today? And let's talk about this topic.
Yeah, this is especially cool for me because as we were thinking about what the most important discussions and topics were in dentistry, the idea, of course, of dental service organizations came up, and I looked no further than somebody who's a fellow alum of the College of Engineering, Boston University here. We have an amazing guest, the Chief Growth Officer and the Executive Vice President of the world's #1 largest dental service organization, Mark Greenstein, here with us. We're so excited to have you. Heartland, of course, is the largest DSO in the country and is estimated $6 billion company based according to Forbes. Mark, we're so excited to have you.
Well, thank you, everybody. And it's really a privilege to be with you and to have an opportunity to talk about what we do at Heartland. And I hope it's valuable for your listeners.
Oh, it definitely is. We're really excited about this. So, Mark, let's start from a big picture and get to the small picture because, Annie, Parsa, and I can start an office together and start to kind of multiply it, let's say 5 to 10 different offices as a partnership. How is that different from what we call DSO or dental service organization? So basically, what is a DSO? How is that different from a group practice? And let's get into that.
Sure. Well, one way you can think about DSO, and we think about it as a dentist support organization because we live to support dentists, but we're just a very big group practice. In fact, the company's history going back over 30 years ago, it was just exactly what you described, a handful of offices. Today, as your listeners may know, it's just under 2,000 offices, so it's a much bigger enterprise. But the ethos of it is still exactly the same. How do we support dentists? So that's our ethos. That's actually our mission, is to support doctors and their teams. And that's what we wake up every day trying to figure out how we can do better and better.
So is it basically a business model at the very top that manages offices, and there are different ways to do that, right?
Yeah, I would say I think manages is a very strong term. I think what we don't think about it that way. I think the way we think about it is, what are the needs of the doctor in the practice, or the doctors in the practice, and how do we build a world-class organization to meet those needs? and then layer in opportunities and thinking ahead where healthcare is going, where the population is going, and provide incremental opportunities for doctors to build on their practices. So verbiage that we would use would be, it's the doctor's practice. The doctor's the leader of their practice, for example. And myself and the hundreds of other folks that are at Heartland Dental are simply there to help them navigate the treatment of their patients in the way that they want to treat them, and the service of their communities in the way that those doctors want to serve their communities. Good example is our practices, and your listeners probably don't see many Heartland practices, and reason is there's only one, and that's at our headquarters in Effingham, Illinois. So they're all locally branded. Why is that? That is because the identity of the practice is really that of the doctor and the team that they're leading. So our job is just to take the burdensome parts of the practice and provide tools and systems and support so that the doctor can lead in the way that they want and treat the patients in the way that they choose.
And what percentage of the dental practice market currently in 2026 is distributed among dental service organizations that are at some level, whether visible or invisible, as you mentioned, they're organized through a DSO, and what percentage of private practices that are smaller groups and so on?
Yeah, well, it's a good question. Depends on where you do the cutoffs, at what point it goes a group, or do you call it a DSO? Typically, you can when you get to about 10 offices, we've seen there's just the administrative burden from payroll to legal, malpractice, marketing, education and training, HR. All of those administrative aspects start to get pretty hard to do on an office by office basis. And in about 10 offices, most organizations or small groups start to form a support organization to provide those non-clinical services. Legal is another one, for example. So if you then parse the market at those that are 10 and below and then 10 and above, our guess, and it's really hard because you couldn't, for example, look at a practice and know that that's a Heartland Dental supported practice. It's hard to count in many of these models. But our guess is about 30% of the market is in some DSO structure. And then there's probably another 10 to 15% that is in a small group, sub 10 office structure. And I joined Heartland in 2015, so I'm in my 11th year. And that is that's probably more than a double of where it was when I joined Heartland over 10 years ago. And I think that's just a reflection of the realities of oral care in the United States today, whether it's dealing with the insurance and the payers, the supply chain. The dentistry is enormously consumptive in its use of supplies and labs. And there's just a stronger demand for support on those areas. Of course, rents, benefits, and then hygiene in general dentistry is a real pain point. And so there's a real need and demand for help that doctors have in meeting the needs of themselves and their communities on these areas. So it's really been pulling on us. We feel, and I would give one more dimension here, and then I'm sure you see it. When I joined Heartland a little over 10 years ago, it was much fewer female dentists in dental school than there is today. Today, it's about 52%. So just over half the doctors at dental school are female. There is an enormous amount of benefit that a DSO like Heartland can provide to them. Just flexibility for part-time, full-time, flexibility to move. Sometimes as families get started, they want to be closer to the grandparents. There's an enormous amount. When I think about so many doctors at Heartland, we're blessed to support about 3,300 doctors today. We're many of them tell us that mobility, that flexibility is just creating a much higher level of work-life balance for them as they go through their own life's journey. And I think that's been a real pivot that has led to the acceleration on top of the cost pressures, on top of COVID in the middle of that 10-year period and so forth.
Right. Mark, it's interesting. I mean, obviously, the idea of a company that was started in 1997 over 29 years has grown, backed by maybe the largest PE in the world and KKR. You know, you're in almost 40 states now, 3,100 plus 3,300 doctors. I mean, obviously, the model works at a really high level. There's no question. There's financial upside. There's clinical upside. So talk to us, if you would kindly, about how the affiliation model works. What is the roadmap? How does a practice go about doing that? Kind of an overview of that process.
Sure. Maybe helpful for your listeners. Heartland has two footprint models for doctors. So one is the affiliation model, which is where a doctor is practicing and they're looking for some short-term or long-term transition plan, and we would acquire the non-clinical assets of the practice. That's a big part of Heartland. It's about, of the 1,950 practices, it's probably about 1,200 or maybe 1,100 and change of that, and that's the historical model. But over the last 20 years, so it's say 2/3 of the 30-year journey you talked about, we have been expanding, also building state-of-the-art de novos, and we have well over 800 of these, and they are probably the most advanced general dentistry facilities in the country. So having over 800 is not a small number. They're typically 10 or 12 operatories. They're typically located right in front of a high traffic shopping center, so convenience in the center of a community. Publix in Florida, for example, is a great location where we often will put these, but they'll be in similar locations. Mariano's here in Illinois, we're right across the street or in front of. And there we're providing opportunities. Many times our affiliates, so a doctor will sell their practice, they'll work for 5 or 10 years, and then they're like, well, I'd like to move and be closer to my grandchildren. So it's the other flip of what we were just talking about. I've had this happen so many times. My child moved. I'm now a grandparent. I'd like to be closer, but I still want to practice. And we have a beautiful de novo where they can become the leader of truly a state-of-the-art 4,200 square foot facility. We build these. They're absolutely stunning. I encourage your viewers to see them. They're built to last 30 plus years. And so for both young graduates of dental school or even more senior, the mobility game or play is available. And we have all these modalities for doctors to choose based on where they're at in their life, based on what they are trying to achieve for themselves, what the right options are for them. And this happens all the time.
Mark, one of the things that's interesting to me with the whole group practice and having gone to dental school, started in 1972, right?
Yeah.
I've seen it and I've worked in many different situations, is the opportunity for young dentists to work with older, more experienced dentists. And whether it's in the military or whether it's in the group, I think one of the key things is education. One of the things that you've probably noticed, and I agree 1,000% with you, the gender distribution is the cause of many changes in dentistry going on right now. And, when I went to school, there were very few women, and now there are certain dental schools where it's literally 80% females in the class, especially in the Northeast, okay? Midwest is a little bit different. It's a little bit more of a network. But my whole thing here is that through the years, I've had many, many positive experiences conducting endodontic courses at various DSOs across the country, all right? And I've met a lot of terrific young men and women who are very eager to learn. One of the things that I'm interested in, I always thought that to me, instead of having people like me, whether it's implant people or endodontists come into town and giving a lecture for a day and driving with salespeople to another lecture the next day, why aren't DSOs making kind of a home base for all continuing education? And I know now that some have started to do that. What is Heartland's approach to continuing education, whether it's implants, ortho, endo, whatever? Do you have a facility that you come into, or is it going around the country?
I love the question. It's one of the key reasons I came to Heartland a little over 10 years ago. Business has probably been doing this for well over 20 years now. And it's called Heartland Dental University.
Oh,
So it
really?
is. So Annie, it is actually the largest dentist education capability in the United States.
Wow.
So it's absolutely massive. So it's led by Dr. Anna Singh, who practiced with us for 18 years, and the last several has been, call her the dean. I call her the president, but of HDU. And so, what does HDU do? So HDU gives out over 200,000 CE hours. We do it nationally. So we have an institute in Effingham, Illinois, that doctors come through, but we also have satellite trainings around the country, and then we also do virtual. So all modalities. And as part of that, what do we teach? We teach 3 dimensions, and we teach those dimensions to each of the roles in the practice. So doctor, hygienist, and then team member. And those dimensions are clinical. I'll take you through the dimensions there, but clinical, operational. How do you actually operate a practice with 12 people in it? Or 14 people in it? How do you engage with your community? How do you talk to each other? How do you talk to patients? Heartland has a system for everything. So we have a system for how a patient moves through the office. We have a system for how you do accounts receivable. We have a system for verification of insurance. All of the day-to-day parts of a practice, we have a system. So that's the operational part. And then the last part, which is, I probably should start with it, but when I start with it, people forget. Sometimes people forget how important the clinical part is, and that's called leadership. The leadership dimension, in order to lead a practice in your community, you have to become a leader yourself. And to your point, Annie, we've got folks coming in from at all ages, 28 to 78, and we're putting them, a 28-year-old, in a beautiful new facility in Florida. We have to give them the opportunities to build themselves so that they can lead that practice and lead their community. So the leadership is enormously important, and we do quite a bit of that. Each of the roles, hygienist, doctor, and team member, has a full curriculum track across those dimensions. And then for clinical, yes, endodontics is part of it, orthodontics is part of it, oral surgery is part of it, restoratives is part of it, aesthetics is part of it. So all the major disciplines are taught. And when we open a practice and when we recruit, endodontics is incredibly important. The ability to take a patient out of pain is one of the key tenets when we're looking to source doctors for our practices. And that comes from, as Dr. Workman, our founder, who's still very active in the business, he started the practice in Effingham, Illinois. This is a community that's about, I think it's about 2 hours from the nearest airport, 2 hours from a Target. And he felt, why do I have to send my patient 2 hours to St. Louis if they're in pain and cause them to wait 3 days if I can say yes and help them right now and take them out of pain? And so that was his own discovery decades ago, and it's a major part of what we do at Heartland today is Heartland Dental University. So hundreds of thousands of hours.
That's wonderful. That's great.
It's one of the largest line items on our income statement, and without saying more than I'm allowed to, it's many tens of millions of dollars a year.
And I think that's an enormous attraction for recent graduates in particular.
Well, yes, and so on that dimension, many do come to us for that education, and which is wonderful, but it's also where they get the community to meet up with others that are at different levels, and then they can partner together afterwards. And then we do have an entire mentorship program that pairs young dentists or old dentists, if they want, with experienced dentists, both virtually and in person. So implant training, for example, a doctor, as part of the training, one of our senior doctors will open their practice on a Saturday. Other doctors will come in and they'll do live treatments. And
one of the things, and I'll throw it back to Parsa and Ali in just a second, but I know that you feel very strongly about relationships.
Yes.
And to me, I think when I speak to different companies in the past through the years about with young salespeople, it's all about relationships. Because when you think about it, a dentist treats a patient. If they get married, they treat the spouse. If they have a kid, you treat the kid. If you do it long enough, now you treat the kid's kid. So you much more than physicians, in my opinion, understand the game is all about relationships.
Well, it is. Life is about relationships.
Right.
And I think recare, we call it recare, but
okay.
and all the things about it, which is and the overall objective is lifetime care. So that's actually a term, lifetime care. And all of our systems and our communications with doctors and their teams is about creating the lifetime care experience. So the recare is simply the system that remind patients come in every 6 months. There's also, would you be kind enough or generous enough to tell one of your friends about us? And basically, any ideas of how we can plug into the community, maybe sponsor the football team at the high school, all sorts of ways to actually build your practice in that community, because you're trying to do that multi-generation. And if you expand your mindset that I'm here to serve the community, you will get that multi-generational family. And that's it's nothing better than you take care of mom. We have this all the time. You take care of mom and dad, and let's say Invisalign, for example, and then they send their mom and dad in, which is grandma and grandpa.
Right.
So one of the fastest growing areas of orthodontics or Heartland is 65 and older. These are just people who are like, I can actually do this. They don't want to necessarily, no offense to the orthodontists out there, but they're very comfortable. This is to your point, Annie. It's the dentist or the practice I've gone to for many years. But I've always wanted to have my smile straight, or I didn't wear my retainers when I had orthodontics 30 years ago. So that's how it goes.
It's funny because as you were describing this, and I'm sure for a lot of listeners the same way, Rick Workman's story kind of reminds me a lot of Ray Kroc's story with kind of finding a problem, solving it, and then operationalizing it. The founder of the McDonald Corporation, if you will, and both from Illinois. So it's interesting. Must be something in the water there. But what I found to be also interesting is, as you mentioned about the demographic change in dentistry as having more females, and how this idea of providing a little bit of a more appealing type of management style for them to have some the operationalizing of it being simpler. Do you think this model will basically, right now being about 30% or 35% according to different estimates of the total market, will it reach a point of equilibrium in which it cannot grow more, and there would be that other part of the demographic in the dental market that would like to have private practices and the types of patients that would appeal more into? Although you're saying in the invisible market, it could kind of feel the same way. But do you feel like there is any ceiling on this DSO model?
I think there's always room for private practice. There's nothing structural in the marketplace that says a doctor can't have their own private practice. And I don't see that changing. So for those who are entrepreneurial, for those that understand the challenges of being a business owner, and frankly understands and is willing to learn the dynamics around each line item on an income statement, for lack of if you're willing to engage in that, I think I think the market's always going to be there for you. I think the patients are indifferent, which is why we deliberately don't put a brand name on our practices. I think for patients, they just want what Annie's talking about. I just want, first of all, the hygienist rules. I want a great hygienist. And I love you, doctor. I'd love to see you once or twice a year. And I'd love for you to say hi. We'll catch up on the kids and then not have to do anything. That's the perfect, and that's okay. But as we all age, things are needed, and then the trust is there for the doctor to do treatment. I think as long as the patients get that experience, they don't know. I would say 90% of our patients have no idea they're walking into a practice owned by a corporation. There's just very little way that they would know that. And many times, even in an affiliation, they're still visiting with the people they've been visiting or their parents visited 20 years prior. And even in a de novo, we have pretty low turnover, so it sticks. I mean, they see the same people, they talk to the same people. They just wouldn't know that this is owned by a corporation. I think structurally, it's worth just talking about for what's it take. And I do think it's gotten much harder in the last 10 or 15 years. Rents are a real challenge. Supply chain costs, tariffs have become a real challenge. That impacts labs and the supply side. Equipment cost as well has gone up. Staying on top of the advancements in technology is another challenge that many doctors come to us and they're like, I don't know how to use AI. A lot of my friends have AI. How do I benefit from it? Having the operational aspects and having good data on your practice. What should I be tracking, for example? These are things that some people are interested in, and they'll be wildly successful as a solo practitioner or a small group practitioner. But others would say, I'd rather just see patients, invest in the community, and perform dentistry. And so I think the landscape is certainly broad enough. But I don't think there's anything structural to tap out either one of those opportunities. Either the solo practice, it's just going to be as people choose what path they want to go down. And for us at Heartland, all we wake up in the morning is think about how do we provide more levels of support, more education to inform doctors as they're making that choice.
Right. So, Mark, I think it's interesting context based on your question, Dr. Nasseh, and we can get into kind of like the true business behind DSOs, the economics of it. And I think to your point, you said if there are clinicians out there who are entrepreneurial by spirit, I have to say I think what's interesting about the DSO model is it provides an exit opportunity for dentist entrepreneurs because you think about any business, the value of the business is only as good as how much someone's willing to pay for it, and DSOs are that entity that can actually provide an exit opportunity for a lot of the clinicians who've outgrown selling their practice to another clinician who can't necessarily, shell out $8, $10, $15, $20 million for a practice or group of practices. So DSOs serve that purpose. But so if you don't mind, let's talk about, what powers a DSO, what you look for when you're targeting a practice. Obviously, we know you guys have scale power, arbitrage power, purchasing power, negotiation power. What do you do when you acquire or affiliate with a practice? What do you look for in those practices? We'd love to get your eyes on that whole landscape, how you're evaluating an office and what happens afterwards.
Sure. Happy to share what we look for. I would say we certainly have value drivers, but nothing, and this gets to an affiliation, nothing is more powerful than the dentists themselves. The number one thing when we're doing an affiliation is the doctor. So, or the doctors, if there are associates or multiple offices involved. Honestly, that's where the power lies. So, and we recognize that intrinsically. So our model for looking at a affiliation starts with doctor, and then it looks at the facility. Doctor box market is what we call it. But it's we don't really go much to the box in the market until we're confident that the doctor is one who's still interested in staying and practicing in their community or eventually just wants to keep practicing, and that they're interested in doing so in our context. And starting there, it's just all about how do we, in a short period of time, show the doctor all that we're about. It's really a transparency game. So we typically give doctors somewhere between 30 and 40 names in their area, and we don't regulate it. We say, just start calling these other doctors that are part of Heartland. Have doctor-to-doctor conversations. It's more of a pull model. If you're interested in affiliating with us, we'll create a mechanism for you to pull on information We'll sometimes invite them to take one of the training classes if they want. We'll invite them to come to every year we have an event with all of our doctors. So bring all the thousands together in one room, and they come to that. So it's really a open book kind of engagement. So that's the doctor part. What are we solving for there? We're looking for somebody, we call it OPF. Are they open, positive, and mentally flexible? We're looking for open, positive, and mentally flexible doctors. We're looking for folks who are recognizing, yes, there's a monetary transaction to be had here, but that's not what we're solving for. We're solving for a great ongoing relationship where we can provide support. That's how we get paid. We get paid when we provide support to doctors. So that's the first. The box, typically like to see 5 or more chairs. Ideally in a either freestanding or street facing way, ground floor of a building or a retail strip center or retail out parcel. Those are the types of facilities that we look for, say, relative to the 4th floor of a medical office building.
Got it.
Where there's a dozen other dentists in the same building. We're trying to solve for that community. We're trying to also process, there will come a day when that doctor's going to transition. And that sometimes can happen before we even make enough money relative to what we paid for the practice. And I think that's an important point for doctors to understand. People often talk about multiples of EBITDA. They use a financial term. Well, I can get a 6 for my practice or a 7 for my practice or whatever it is. Well, how long are you planning to say, doctor? I'd like to transition out in 3 years. Well, that means I've got a minimum before I get my money back.
Right.
I gotta. So we're very mindful, as you'd expect us to be, of is that practice in a facility that is able to be grown? Can we grow? Can we have another doctor alongside you so that that transition for your patients, the legacy that you've created in that community, can be preserved? So, and have them at the same time with you in the practice. And then the last one is the market. Is this a market that's still got some growth to it? Are the demographics conducive for general dentistry? Is it one that we believe the next generation? So we're solving on day one for the future doctors that might either come to be added to the practice as you grow or as you transition out. And is it going to be the kind of practice that when we show it to a 30-year-old dentist with maybe 2 years experience as an associate somewhere and they want to come in as a leader of a practice, that they'll say, oh, yeah, this is a great practice. This is a great community. I'll move my family to this community.
Right.
And that's a very important point back again to the more balanced mix. Where these practices are, the markets are very important because we're thinking about, is this a place a young dentist is going to want to move to? Is this a place they're going to want to bring and raise their family? And so it's those 3 elements, doctor, box, market, have to come together. We look at about 300 practices a year, and we typically, I would say, if I go back over the last several hundred that we've actually done, they're probably the top 25% of dentists in the top 25% of communities.
Interesting. So there are a lot that you might say no to. Do you, and I just want to touch on this point. You talked about, locationally, you being like facing, let's say, centralized to a major foot traffic area or driving traffic area. I would have thought maybe you would prefer to affiliate or acquire practices that are a little bit more rural with less competition because of the saturation of happening the dental market. Do you prefer to affiliate with a practice that has not so much competition, or do you like to be in sort of more metropolitan areas?
Well, we typically target suburban areas. So the suburbs of Chicago, for example, the suburbs of Tampa, St. Pete, like Sarasota, a good example. The villages, in the Carolinas, it would be outside of the major cities, outside of the downtowns, but quite a few. We're looking for primarily where are the 2 generations or 3 generation families. I think that's important. that if I had to synthesize, it's if you get very urban, you're typically a younger demographic. You don't have multi generations. Say Manhattan, and we don't have any practices in Manhattan for that reason. You go all the way out on Long Island, and you've got the grandparents, the cousins, the aunts, the uncles, the kids, the whole thing, and that's where Heartland looks. Buffalo is a great market for us. We have quite a few practices in Buffalo, New York, and it's just a great community. Outside of the downtown, several suburbs, suburbs of Chicago, Schaumburg, Lake Zurich, Hawthorne Woods. We've got practices. We have one here in Buffalo Grove where I live. So those suburban markets are where we target.
Gotcha.
So rural is wonderful. We have practices in Peoria, Illinois, and other rural areas. And where we have them, they are wonderful. They're not necessarily a target area because we've got one big problem. The next generation of dentists don't want to go there.
That's true.
So,
good point.
And so that's just the trade-off. The doctor who's there today where we're buying the practice wants 6-7 years, but it could take 2 years to find a doctor.
Right. Staffing.
Then they go, you lose them for whatever reason. I got married and now I have family and I'm going to move. So happens. Well, it takes 2 years to recruit a doctor. That it just doesn't work. The economics just don't work in those areas. As much as we remember, the company was founded and still has several practices in Effingham, Illinois. That's a town of 13,000. As I said, 2 hours from an airport. So we absolutely adore rural areas. It's just they're very, very hard, and so you have to keep the mix of that in the top of your mind,
right,
when you're looking for expansion. And this is for both. And then for de novos, typically de novos, because you're sourcing the doctors from day one, and these are all large practices. They're all designed for at least 3 doctors. So. There we're only putting those where we know that these are places that doctors will want to come, they'll want to move their families, and the schools are good and things like that. Because otherwise, it doesn't work.
Got it.
You know, Mark, I've got a question for you because I happen to be a board member for the University of Pennsylvania, and although I'm very dedicated to the school and spent many years there, I think the amount of tuition that the school charges is obscene. Okay. Yeah. And the board fully agrees with that. It's just, it's the way things are. But my question to you is, many years ago in the service, there used to be a thing called the Berry Plan, where the service would pay for your schooling and dental school. And then when you graduated, you gave, like 1 year for every year they paid. And that helped a lot of people get through dental school. Okay. Again, things have changed. But my question to you is, I know how challenging it can be to not only acquire a general dentist, but especially specialists, in particular endodontists. Does Heartland have any program that they'll kind of do like a quasi-Berry plan, where they'll pay for somebody's 2 years of residency training, and in exchange, that person is responsible for giving Heartland 2-3 years of service? Is there anything like that Heartland has on the books to help reduce the cost of dental education?
Well, Annie, it's a great point. You mentioned Pennsylvania. The dean of Heartland Dental University, Dr. Singh, is from Penn. Okay. So you should connect with her. She just a wonderful person and educator and dentist. But we are thinking a lot about this. How there's not enough doctors to meet the need. That's the bottom line. And when you're a corporation like we are, you have to have there's another dimension of this, which is it's not just is there enough, but is there enough where and when you need them? Because because doctors move, doctors get sick, doctors retire 12 months a year, not every May when graduation happens. They don't wait until May. So we need paths. So there's several things that are in the works. We did, our founder, Dr. Workman, started and funded the initial funding for the Workman School of Dental Medicine at High Point University. And that was a start of, can we do more? We partnered with Concord University on on the first of a hygiene school.
Right.
I think both of those models where we're supporting the growth and expansion of schools is something that we're going to continue to do. And then within that, once we'll have various ways of. So right now at High Point at the Workman School, there are folks who used to be either dental assistants or hygienists or team members at Heartland are in the classes training to be doctors. So we're trying to figure and wrestle with all of this. Last year, I think the average new grad, which we're going to have this year. We'll have our we call everything at Heartland is called Heart. So Heart Start, which is the first orientation in Effingham for all new doctors. Last year's around this time was roughly $350,000 of debt, which is just mind blowing. It's a house. And that doesn't seem to be subsiding much. So we're deeply thinking about how to help this, because ultimately more doctors, more hygienists, more dental assistants. I was just having a conversation with my boss the other day, our Pat, about how do we have a shortage of dental assistants, and that's another area. So we're really deeply thinking about how to provide incentives for more people to get the training.
Right. It's a huge problem for all the schools.
Yeah, and we need more schools, and we need more. We need it all across the spectrum. We need more capacity in the educational institutions, and then we need to incent people or help them go and get the education, because it's so darn expensive. To your point.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really important. Mark, I really enjoyed your explanation of Heartland's acquisition strategy, which clearly is obviously growth-based. Now, my understanding, and it's interesting to on the finance side of things, if let's say I'm selling my office to another dentist, usually the capitalization rate, it's on the 2 or 3x or something like that off of the EBITDA. But private equity and other DSOs tend to pay more, right, in terms of the capitalization rate. Now, I've tried to understand, on the basis of just basic economics, how does that work at the end of the day? Because clearly, if a practice is worth more under two different people's hands, there has to be a different kind of an idea behind it. So is it so that the growth is kind of suspected to be greater under professional management of a DSO, and that's why it is worth more? Because from my understanding is if once a practice is bought at a higher, at whatever rate on a DSO side, it is the capitalization rate changes. It almost kind of like doubles when it's bundled up into under a private equity balance sheet as it is under a regular, doctor to doctor type of a thing. Is that really based on a kind of a speculation of future profits, and that kind of creates a higher capitalization rate? Is that because I'm trying to understand how does that work out? Why is it worth more to a private equity group to buy a dental office than it is for another doctor to buy it?
So it's a really insightful question. So I'm glad you asked it. I'll give a technical answer, and then I'll give a less technical answer. The technical answer is it's the present value of the future value that's created. So and I think you're heading down the path. So the less technical answer is that it's a reflection of the value that the DSO brings. So if you're don't have to worry about managing your facilities, if you don't have to worry about the super high and growing cost of dental supplies, if you don't have to worry as much about optimizing which payers you take from which PPOs and what the individual rates are, if you don't have to worry about taking a bunch of time to interview for dental assistants, interview for hygienists, somebody's going out on FMLA, managing that process, and how are you going to keep the practice and your patients being served while your hygienist is taking 3 months off for maternity leave, all of these aspects, there are systems and scale and infrastructure that a support organization like Heartland provides. By the way, the same goes true for any legal issues that come up, dealing with the landlords, dealing with all of the, we have practices in Florida. Hurricanes happen. I can't count how many we've had hurricane damage in the years I've been at Heartland. And just how much time when that happens are you spending with contractors to repair? How much downtime does the practice have? All of these aspects, we have small armies that support the practice. We also have the largest call center in all of dentistry. It handles over 20,000 calls a day. 20,000 calls a day. So now, we don't pick up the phone in our call center unless the office doesn't pick up first. So there's not a single phone call that goes to our call center unless it's not answered first by the dental office. What portion of calls do you think that is? It's actually about 35% of the calls.
Wow.
So most doctors think, oh no, I answer all the phone calls or I have a service. And the truth is we measure it. It's not. I love all of the dentists that are listening to this. You're missing a third of your phone calls guaranteed. We'll take the bet. And we'll stick in one of our monitors and you'll see that when you're missing calls. Because you think about it, practice is open 32, 34, 36 hours a week, and patients aren't calling during those periods of time, calling when it's convenient for them, not necessarily when it's your hour. So also when you're really busy, you don't have time to answer the phone. Or if you're really busy, you're probably better off not answering the phone because you're facing with the patient and you want to be working with the patient. So we have this rollover call center. There's enormous value created there. We do things, for example, some of your listeners, especially the general dentists, might appreciate this. We have AI that listens to the phone calls that will then provide coaching and feedback to the offices that are interested in it on how they can communicate better with the patients. Now, I can assure you that if your team and front desk staff are getting constructive, positive feedback about communicating with different patients, that over time they will become better at communicating with patients. That will lead to growth of the practice. We have many practices that have seniors come into our practices. It's a beautiful thing about living in this age is longevity. We're just in a beautiful state of healthcare in terms of the technology, and people are taking care of themselves better. But I tell you, the insurance regime, if you're 65 and older, is nothing short of a nightmare. And so how you talk to folks is very important. And do you take their insurance, which is typically the first question that people ask, is a hard one to answer. It's just not easy in dentistry, as your listeners know. And so we have an enormous amount of infrastructure that is meant to support and educate that. That infrastructure is value creating. So we have AI in all of our practices. We have digital scanners in all of our practices. All of these lead to both higher levels of care, but also efficiency and effectiveness for the doctors and their teams. So it is that support. It's the value of that support, walk backwards, so to speak. We'll say we can create this value equation over the next 5, 10, 15 years, and that allows us to pay more for the practice today. And that the only way you can do that, doctor, is if you've done it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, and you've got the confidence over what the potential is for your support to provide growth in terms of the number of patients that the doctor and the practice can see because they're saying yes to more patients, as well as growth maybe in adding doctors and hygienists and recruiting and managing through all of that. And then growth from simply taking the administrative burden, which I think most doctors after about a year and a half, this is one of my favorite stories. This was a doctor in Oklahoma who affiliated with us. She had 7 children. She was wonderful. And she built her own practice. She was very obviously entrepreneurial, built a great practice. But she affiliated to get more time with her family because so much of the time was taken with the practice. And this is what she said. She was with us for maybe 2 years at that point, and she said she was underneath the second floor. She was on the ground floor. The second floor was an oral surgery practice, and they had a water leak. And one of the team members called her on Saturday morning and said, "There's water coming in into the practice from upstairs. What do I do?" And she said, this is when it hit her. She said, "Well, just call Heartland." And she went back to sleep. Now, what's that worth in terms of her energy capacity when she's back in the practice the following week? Well, she's first of all not dealing with water remediation. She's not dealing with Henry Schein or Patterson or wherever you're using to fix everything that needs to be fixed. Not dealing with other people that are checking it all out to make sure it's all safe and working. She doesn't have to do any of that. It's all, in fact, by the time she comes in, it's all done because we have people 7x24 that do that. That's a great example. And if we and over a period of time in any practice, everybody knows who has their own practice, you have these issues. Operatories get closed, whatnot. We have systems and mechanisms for managing and supporting that so that their impact is much, much less.
It's interesting. So from your perspective, then it seems like to me, from an economics point of view, the only way to have growth, or whether it's an improvement in the EBITDA or revenues, is to increase the quantity of goods, right? Increase the price of goods, or to reduce cost, right? But you're adding this other element to, let's say, to develop a culture among the people involved in the business that allows them to have less stress, that would then probably help them improve, along with probably reducing costs, as you mentioned, with the buyers groups and things like that, as well as other reasons to be able to have growth. So is that basically what you're saying? I'm trying to...
Growth comes in many ways. So if I just think back in the last couple of years, how we have helped doctors grow their practices. Digital scanning has helped them grow their practices. AI has helped them grow their practices.
Expanding service.
Answering the phones has helped them grow their practices. All the education that Annie and I talked about earlier has helped them grow their practices because their teams are better trained.
Right.
And so patients say yes. The average practice in the United States, if they're lucky, has got 30% case acceptance, which is just a mind-blowing number. Doctor goes to school, is exceptionally well trained. Patient comes in, the hygienist is exceptionally well trained. They diagnose the patient, and the patient says yes to 30%. It's the only healthcare field that I go to the doctor says, you got to do this. You do what the doctor says. In dentistry, for some reason, that's 30%. So I would argue that, doctor, that the way you grow is, you could call it more, but I think it's actually just putting in place an environment where patients say yes to the treatment that the doctor actually diagnosed.
Mark, I think to a few points, and then I want to go through a little bit of an exercise together. I think, so it's interesting you say the case acceptance point. I mean, that's where we talk about this all the time. AI is so effective. You can now, use technology to help educate the patient, who can understand better why they have this pathology or this need for treatment. That number trickles up 60, 70%. That's meaningful both for the patient and the practice. So that's a very interesting discussion. We can have a whole other episode maybe on that. But I want to do a little bit of a reverse engineering together. So I think the numbers are, and correct me where I'm wrong, about 16% of dentists in the U.S. are affiliated with a DSO. So we're talking about a $35 billion market size now, projected to double in the next 10 years or so. Really interesting. Now, that means a lot of dentists and clinicians who own practices are preparing themselves to, take the next leap, transition, sell their practice. What should they do? What should a practice owner do to best prepare themselves for that moment? What does that mean from a technology perspective? How does their revenue cycle management or financial engineering work out? What do they need to do in terms of their systems and a clinical mindset? Or, are you really looking for practices based on, just geographies or top line revenue, or rather, are you focused on practices that already have these systems and infrastructure in place? What can they do to help prepare themselves for this type of an affiliation or acquisition?
Sure. It's a really good question. I think it starts with the mindset. What are you trying to do after? It's clarity of what you want to do after you sell, and then walking back to the transaction. So it's the hard question of 5 years post transaction. Where do you want to be? What do you want to do? When we're affiliating with the practice, we're actually affiliating with the doctor.
Mm.
We're in our model, and then others have different philosophies. But for us, it's all about the doctor. Nowadays we unless we're buying another DSO, we typically build a few more practices a year than we actually end up buying. So I think this year we'll build probably 80 practices from the ground up. Last year we built a little over 90. And that's we would do more this year, but if you walk backwards 2-3 years when we picked the sites, that was when there was an inflation spike and a lot of the developments just didn't happen in time. So we'll make up for it next year. We'll do over 100 to start to make up for it. But so we're the largest builder of dental practices in the United States today. And again, they're all 10, 12 operatory. I call them dental palaces. Absolutely stunning. But for acquisitions, maybe outside of if we buy a group or a DSO, we'll do probably 40 to 50 solos a year that will add to the footprint. And so the conversation we're having with the doctor, the first conversation is, so what are you solving for? Well, I'm looking to transition. Okay, what does that mean to you? Over what period of time? What does transition mean? So I mean, you just want to sell and go away, or do you want to sell and keep working? And typically that leads to a conversation. I just can't take it anymore. I can't get hygienists. Everybody I do get wants more money.
Mm-hmm.
I'm spending more of my time than taking care of patients. I would just like to take care of patients again. Okay, now we're getting into the sweet spot, right? We're finding out, how do we help the individual solve the problems that led them to think this might be an opportunity for them to explore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we can really just see if there's a meeting of the minds. So for us, so I would say to a doctor contemplating this is to spend the time to think about what their 5-year goals are.
Mm-hmm.
And what they're really, and why are they doing this? Understand why, so that they can articulate that, because at the end of the day, I'm just your partner in helping you achieve what you want to achieve. I'm not the owner who's telling you what to do every day. Most doctors come to us and 2 years later, they say, nothing really changed, except I got a lot better at doing this, and this. And I sleep at night. But my patients still have no idea. They have absolutely no idea. We get this all the time. Mm-hmm. And that's a sign that we did that one right. We're not perfect by any stretch. Well, believe me, we make our share of mistakes. But ultimately, think about what you're trying to solve for. Think deeply about, are you able to commit to staying and continuing to grow your practice for a period of time? Mm-hmm. Are you interested and open to bringing on the next generation to preserve the legacy that you created? We have a lot of doctors now that are in their 40s. They bought a practice when they were in their 30s.
Wow.
And they're like, okay, did that, scratch the itch, I'm done. It's too hard. I still got 20 years to go, but I just want to take care of patients. That is actually one of our bigger growth segments, is the younger generation who tried their hand at a practice. So a lot of them are second generation dentists, and they're like, I need help. I need support. So, we have that. And then in terms of the operational systems, I don't think you need to be anything more than stable. So maybe invest in some of your own leadership. If you're coming to us because there's been a lot of turnover in your practice, we get it a lot. I can't keep a hygienist. I can't keep a dental assistant. I would, so go take some leadership training. I mean, go to a formal place and take leadership training. Take a class where there's a survey of all of your team members and they give you feedback on how you're treating them.
Yeah.
A stable office with a doctor who's committed and who's open, positive, and flexible to keep growing is one that we will pay a premium for.
So human capital.
Above the normal premium.
Human capital is the main driver there. You're not as much focused on, what has the profitability been, or do they have the right practice management setup or software?
It's the culture.
It's the culture.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. Box and market are pretty easy for us to evaluate and very quick. Mm-hmm. We've got more data than you can imagine on marketplaces, and we just put in the address and boom, outcomes a lot.
Wow.
Box, we can see it pretty easily, but that doctor and the team, that takes the most time. And and that's also where we'll put the valuation. So
Got
almost
it.
always the variable in any
Interesting.
offer is going to be based on the doctor and the team.
This was talking about this acquisition strategy.
I've got a
Andy, go ahead.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Mark. I don't know whether you know this, but Harvard is the only dental school in this country that's officially part of the medical school. So your appointments goes through the medical school. When Parsa has to complete his master's, it's not signed off by the dental school. He's got to satisfy the medical school requirements. So one of the things in Harvard Dental School that's interesting is that this whole thing, and I'm paraphrasing, is that it's not just about oral health, it's about systemic wellness, okay? And I think many dentists at a certain point realize, well, actually, dentistry should be part of the medical school. Anyway, my question to you here is, do you foresee sometime in the future where you see DSOs aligning with urgent care centers? It's interesting because you've mentioned this a couple of times. I've had a lot of experience presenting at different DSOs. The facilities are amazing. There's so many treatment rooms, and they never have more than 2 doctors at a time working. So it's not a question of space. I've also found, and I don't say this just because you're on the thing, but I've found that people on the dental side to be more astute and sharper than on the urgent care side.
Yeah. So to your first point about the recognition that the mouth is part of the body, so to speak, the obvious, that what we all know, that as people live longer, take better care of themselves, they're more health aware. They recognize that if I have inflamed gums, it's not just bad for my mouth, it's bad for me. It's inflammation.
Right.
Inflammation is inflammation. And the linkages to whole body health. I think the medical community understands and recognizes it. We have a structural problem in this country in that the insurance regimes are completely separate. Dental insurance is largely a discount plan at best, and you wouldn't think there could be more frustration than there is in medical insurance. But I think dental insurance gives the medical insurance a run for its money.
Electronic records are
Yeah.
nightmare in the medical side.
Yeah, and then the linking of all that. So we have a long way to go as a country to bring what people know. But I'm encouraged that because the awareness is growing, there'll be a pull to solve that and bring them more closely together. I paused on urgent care because to me it's all forms of medicine. So I would like to have a stronger partnership with the cardiologists in my area because I know periodontal disease and cardiac risk are related. We take panos for every new patient gets a pano, and we spot. I shouldn't say we. I'm not a doctor, so gotta give that disclaimer. But we are supported doctors spot calcified deposits in their carotid arteries all the time. And the best thing that we can do is hand them their x-ray with a big note on it. Go see your doctor. I mean, what are we doing? So I would say more is more. So the more connectivity, relationships, I don't know if they have to be co-located, but the more connectivity between the health system, whether it's urgent care, emergency rooms, or specialty care, and oral care, the better off we as a society will be. I think all those forms. I don't know that having co-location of medicine and dental, urgent care and a dental office is any more effective than if they were a quarter mile down the road from each other in completely separate facilities, but the EHR was linked and the doctors knew each other so that they would just, where they felt comfortable, would refer into each other.
Dr.
We
Koch,
think a lot about it. Yeah.
You said that comment. I've always wondered the same thing. I'm really glad you asked that question because it's in many ways I look at DSOs like being our front line for people who don't have a dental home sometimes. I mean, obviously there are established patients, but for those who don't have a dental home, and which we know, Dr. Kessler, the ADA says about 50% of the United States does not have a dental
Yeah.
home. The offices and companies like Heartland and others serve that purpose. What do you think, as we kind of get towards the end here, Mark, what is it that you look at as the challenge for your business model, if there are any? Just play devil's advocate for a brief moment. What do you think could cause any turbulence in the next 5, 10, 15 years, policy wise, from a clinician's perspective? How do you perceive sort of the next decade or so?
Challenges ahead.
Yeah.
Well, the risks certainly are, or the challenges are, the regime, the payer regime is a real challenge in our in dentistry, because maximums, for example, have been the same for 25, 30 years. And there's an increasing number of downgrades, denials. If you look at the ADA, HPI data, they are not providing dentists with fee increases to keep up with inflation. That creates a squeeze on the P&L of dentists. That then leads to them having less ability to invest in the technologies to provide great care. So there's every year goes by, we say, oh yeah, medical costs go up 6 to 9%, and dentist goes either -2 to +1. It's just not. It just doesn't work, because we all know the hygienists would like to have their salary increase because they have to pay for gas and family costs and everything else, and certainly are working and deserve it. So I think that is a structural challenge that we all have to wrestle with. That the dental insurance has to really evolve into being a more aligned product to the health needs of the country. Others, I think there's always regulatory, just the way the systems in the states are organized, that you need to watch for. Making sure that dentists have the autonomy to practice the way they want to practice is important. So we certainly, Heartland was built on that. We're founded by a dentist and are led by doctors. So, but I think that's important. And I think as long as the sector, whether it's small groups or large DSOs, continues to think of the dentist as the customer.
Right.
So in our model, the doctors are customers, so it's not our patients. So if I said our, anytime I said our, I meant our supported doctors, because it's not our patients, it's their patients. Doctors have the patient relationship. Doctors have the clinical autonomy. So I think anything that gets in the way of that is problematic, because it's not great healthcare. Sure. And I think the other structural headwind is the cost of dental school, and even hygiene school is a structural thing that we have to get more capacity, more supply, because when there's constrained supply, everybody just makes more money. I mean, $350,000 of debt to go be a dentist is mind-boggling. It seems like, given the amount of need for oral care in the country, we could do better.
Sure.
And I think we ought to all get involved and continue to find ways of expanding that. And for the seniors, I think I do want to give a shout out to the Medicare Advantage programs. When I started at Heartland in 2015, most people were on Medicare, which had no coverage for oral care. Absolutely none. So you turned 65, you had to go buy a policy or pay out of pocket. 53 million Americans now have dental insurance, which is largely as good or better, seniors 65 and older, than commercial, which is an enormous boom, and I think actually has very positive impacts for longevity and happiness. One of the growing areas for us is we have a digital dentures program for patients that need dentures, because we're using all this technology to help them faster and more comfortably. and for edentulous patients, and you see people smiling. People smile more and eat more. They live longer. It's really that simple. We see it, and so we're able to support that. So a lot of that is from Medicare Advantage, and so hats off to the health insurance. We beat up on them, but to the Uniteds and the Humanas and the Aetnas of the world that are largely the three providing these policies, they're really doing a great service to the seniors of the country. And so I think that will. I think we just need more of that. We need. I don't want the government. I think it would be a challenge if the government were to get directly involved in setting the price or setting what dentists do.
Sure.
I just don't. I just don't see that as a constructive thing, which is why MA is great, because it's simply the same insurance most people have, but it's available to seniors, whereas in the past it was not.
Right.
So that's it's just a real boom. So I'd like to see more of that as we go forward. So supply of talent, really high quality talent. Better linkages with the medical regime, so it's more seamless. Ultimately, now I go to two different hospital systems for my health care, and they all see each other's records. I go into one, and she says, "Yeah, I read what the other guy did." Blah blah blah. We can't be handing people
We're
their
behind in
X-rays and saying,
dentistry.
"Go see it."
Right. We're very
Yeah.
behind. That connected ecosystem is definitely missing. I mean, that's and obviously on the payer side, there's no question. I think almost everybody in dentistry agrees that that's we need to push the ball forward there. The reimbursements are not where they should be. The maximums are not where they should be. So hopefully, with a concerted team effort, we can adjust things. Hopefully,
we're all in. We're all in on that. I'd say at the end of the day, what we're all collectively trying to do is help people smile more, eat more, and be healthy.
Absolutely.
And if you do those three things, they'll be happier and they'll live longer. That's the essence of what I know is probably. There's several hundred of us in Heartland. We wake up to do is how do we support doctors so that they can do that, so that they can deliver that to their communities. That's our North Star.
That's awesome.
That is terrific. Now, I agree 100%, Mark, that there is a structural problem. We've talked about this before, and we need to solve that hopefully in the future between the payers and the tuitions and everything. There's a lot of pressure on new dentists coming out. So that's an issue that all of us have a vested interest in trying to solve for the younger generation. This being a generational podcast, Annie and I are at a different place than Parsa and Roheen and the rest of the group. But we certainly, I think there is the fiduciary obligation on the older generation to make sure that they leave, a profession as functioning and as fertile as they found it. We need to pass it forward. There's no question about that. So
absolutely,
I think that with that we should spin we don't want this to get too long. Should we then I guess call it quits and have maybe another session sometime down the line again to talk some more about this really burgeoning and interesting area?
That sounds awesome. Yeah, Mark, we really, really appreciate your insight. Like I said,
it's been terrific.
We're happy because we get to pick your brain, and this is our first conversation about DSOs on the podcast. And of course, Heartland being the number one in the country, that is no joke. So we're so appreciative of you, and we can't wait to have you on again.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity, and if any of your listeners have questions, they can reach out, and always happy to help. And I appreciate thoughtful questions. Together, we're just going to help everybody do better.
Awesome.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It was first, but not our last episode on this important area. Thank you so much for viewing and listening to this podcast episode, and we'll see you in the next one. Awesome. Good.